Hey everyone, my name is Wes, and welcome back to another episode of Terror Talk where I discuss creepy clips online. I created this original horror music to add to the video, and I hope you enjoy it. Be sure to leave your own comments, and when you're done watching, check the description if you'd like to listen to my music without the commentary. Now let's get into it and have some fun.
I live in the Midwest, and there happens to be a lot of abandoned places near me. I was in my last year of high school at the time, and my friends and I would often go to these creepy places for fun. It was a pretty normal thing that kids around here did. This was on Memorial Day weekend, which meant we had 3 days off of school, and with the year coming to a close, we decided to go explore a place that we'd been wanting to go to for a while. It was a ghost.
Did you ever do that when you were younger? Just go to creepy places just for the hell of it? I never did. There are never really creepy places where I live. I kind of live in a suburban area, and it can get quite boring, but not with like a lot of creepy places. But let me know. I can definitely see the allure of it, but I still don't think it's the safest activity in the world, especially if you're really young like that, where bad things can easily go wrong. But let me know in the comments if you like to go to creepy places when you were younger.
Town called Cairo, which isn't technically a full ghost town because a small portion is still lived in. From what I know, it was built up in the late 1800s, and due to flooding and racial conflicts, it slowly lost its population. For almost 50 years, most of the town has been completely empty and untouched, left to just decay. Hearing about this, and hearing stories from other people who had been there, we were all really invested in seeing it for ourselves. On Sunday, around 6, my friend Tristan picked me and Ryan up, then we drove 2 hours south to Cairo. Most of the drive was through huge farmlands and fields with not many towns or cities nearby. When we got onto the road going through Cairo, it was probably the most eerie feeling I'd ever gotten. There were faint lights far down the road coming from what looked like a few residents' houses, but everything between that was pitch black and completely abandoned. We parked on the side.
That would be pretty wild, wouldn't it? To drive through a half-abandoned town like that. I've never driven through anything like that before, but at night, if everything is just pitch black and then all of a sudden you just see some kind of lights here and there that are being lived in by people, like, wow, I just can't imagine living in a mostly abandoned town. That would be really weird, wouldn't it? I think that would be really freaking strange.
Next to some old brick building that said liquor on it, then got out of the car. We all stood there for a minute, not really saying anything, and just listening. The wind was blowing around, making the metal and wood creak all throughout the buildings, but other than that, it was absolutely silent. Ryan led the way, walking down the road as we looked around. On the left side of the road were small wooden homes swallowed by vines and bushes, and on the right side was a line of old shops. As we got toward the middle, one of them stood out to us. There was a sign sticking out from the brick that said Gem. It looked like it was an old theater, even having a ticket booth next to the entrance. We all agreed to check it out, so we pulled out our flashlights and entered through one of the windows. It was obviously really dark inside, and our flashlights were pretty terrible, to be honest, lighting up only a couple feet in the direction we pointed them in. The main room was really dusty and had an awful odor to it, like rotting wood or mold. The floor was covered in debris as well, but as we looked around, Ryan suddenly told us to stop. Tristan and I immediately stopped moving and talking and just stared at Ryan. He looked like he had heard something, so we all stood in silence and listened for any noises. After a minute, Ryan broke the silence and said he swore he heard something above us. He said it was like a single footstep, but Tristan and I didn't hear it and thought it was probably just the building creaking. We looked around some more before going through the only other doorway, which led up some stairs to a second floor. This floor was actually where all the seats were at. There were about 50 chairs leading up.
That would be pretty crazy to explore an abandoned theater like that, wouldn't it? I gotta say, that would be kind of cool actually, just to be in there and feel the vibe of it, because I think it would be a pretty creepy vibe, and it's unsettling hearing anything like sounds like that in an abandoned building, but an abandoned theater of all places, that would be pretty cool.
Up to a balcony where the stage was on the floor below. We started walking in, going down the row of steps through the chairs, when a small creak from behind us made us all turn around. In the corner, a man was standing between the wall and one of the chairs. He looked completely disheveled and homeless, and he was staring right at us while holding up one of his arms. In his hand was a small revolver, and he was pointing it directly at me. It was still silent in the building, to the point where I could literally hear my heart beating through my body, before Tristan ran back down the stairs, leaving just me and Ryan. We tried to stay calm and told him we were just going to leave, but the man didn't speak or move. So we carefully started walking back to the stairs, and as soon as we were out of sight, we booked it out of the theater and back to the car.
Wow, that would be really terrifying actually. Being held at gunpoint in any situation would be literally terrifying. Luckily, that's never happened to me. Has it ever happened to you? Have you ever been held at gunpoint? Let me know in the comments below. I think that is one of the scariest things that could happen to someone, honestly. But, because I mean, you don't know if you're about to die or not. Like, they're lucky that they made it out of there. That guy could have easily pulled the trigger on him. And this is again why I emphasize that abandoned building exploration is definitely not one of the safest activities to do in the world. In fact, it's really not a safe activity at all. But, yeah, I just think that they got really lucky in this situation.
We drove away and spent the better part of an hour driving in silence as we all soaked in what happened. My guess is that the man we saw used to live in the community, but as it fell apart, he probably got caught up in the mess and was forced to hide and live in one of the abandoned buildings. There were a lot of ways that situation could have ended, and all of us getting out unharmed was unlikely, and we haven't tested our luck at any other places since then.
And I think that they're smart to not have tested any other places like that, because after a situation like that, why would you want to go back to abandoned creepy places and consider potentially running into someone dangerous like that? So I definitely thought this was a cool story. I mean, the driving through the abandoned town at night would definitely be eerie. And their encounter with that guy is definitely eerie too. And lucky they made it out alive. But I thought this was a really creepy story. And I hope you enjoyed the music and the commentary. And I will see you in the next video.